Hi. I've decided to do a detailed comparison of the two most popular Hookah systems for recreational diving, the Airbuddy and the Nomad. I have been using both systems, which made me realize a couple of important differences, and overall get a better feel for what criteria is important to consider when buying a floating hookah. Regarding dive time, Nomad and Airbuddy work differently. Nomad turns the compressor on and off as you breathe, which means that your dive time depends both on your depth and your breathing rate. They advertise 45 to 60 minutes, but during my test dive at 7 meters, I could only get around 30 minutes before I noticed the compressor interruptions which signal low battery. Just some 2 minutes later, Nomad shut off completely. I didn't have much time for the safety stop, so I swam straight back to the surface, as you can see on the dive profile. Airbuddy runs the compressor constantly. Your dive time is independent of your diving depth or breathing rate. The low battery warning began after about 55 minutes and the system shut off some 10 minutes later. Twice the runtime that I got out of Nomad. One of the most important criteria for choosing a Hookah system is how much air it can deliver at a certain depth. To test the air supply, I used two 5-liter cylinders that I strapped to the bottom at about 7 meters. Then I measured the time it took to fill them with air from both devices. As you see, Airbuddy filled the cylinder in just 3.5 seconds, while Nomad took almost twice as long. That explains why breathing from Airbuddy feels easier and you need to suck harder from Nomad. If you were wondering about the noise level, that is what I measured in the next test. Just listen to the sound and watch the meter. What you can't however see in the video is the noise coming out of the regulator into your mouth, and the way you hear it underwater. This is very important for your experience. Because Nomad pumps the air straight from the compressor to your mouth, the air is pulsing and you hear a loud jackhammer sound with every breath. The Airbuddy delivers the air through an air tank and a long spiral hose where any vibrations or noise cancel out. The air you breathe is smooth and quiet. Main concern with battery-powered hookahs is what happens if the compressor fails and whether the system provides air for emergency ascent. Nomad has no air reserve. It stops the air immediately. So you must use an external backup system, such as the spare air. With Airbuddy, you can continue breathing for a little while, even without the compressor running. It's because Airbuddy has a buffer of 16 liters of compressed air stored inside the red float. The pressure gradually decreases and you notice that the air is running out. For additional safety, you can also carry the spare air as a secondary backup system, for example in case the hose got damaged, or something like that. Good stability on the surface is crucial for any floating hookah system. You don't want it to roll over and pump water instead of air. Nomad makes me a bit nervous. For some reason, it leans on one side when it floats, and it feels very unstable when you nudge it. I tried putting just 1 or 2 dive weights on top of it, but it immediately tipped over. That didn't fill me with confidence. Airbuddy is a lot more stable and can support much heavier load. I used 11 dive weights, thus 11 kilograms, to tip it over. Later I also took them out on the sea to compare how they handle choppy water and some light wind. As you can see, Nomad struggled a bit, while Airbuddy made a good impression. It would be interesting to test them in even bigger waves, but I didn't want to push my luck. In terms of weight, Nomad is definitely the lighter of the two, by just over 3.5 kilograms. Surprisingly, Nomad weighs 1.2 kilograms more than what the company advertised on their website. Both Nomad and Airbuddy pack up in a similar sized bag. Nomad comes with a custom backpack, but Airbuddy not. The setup procedure of both Nomad and Airbuddy takes roughly about 2 minutes. What I didn't like about Nomad is that you have to unwind the hose anytime you want to access the battery for charging. The hose grips the sliding battery door and you need to remove it to get access to the battery. Overall, winding of Nomad's hose on the body of the device is a bit tricky as the hose likes to twist and knot as you work it. Very few parts are available for Nomad. The company also doesn't provide any repair instructions. You can swap some of the small external parts, like flag or charger, but if you need service of the compressor, a new hose, or just a battery connector, you will have to ship it back to the factory. In case of Airbuddy, they have plenty of spare parts listed on their website. They also have detailed tutorial videos, which walk you through the maintenance and repairs. The device is modular, so you can either repair the part, swap the whole module, or send it back for a professional repair. Last, but not least, the price. Here you can see a current snapshot of the prices on their official websites for the basic setup. Nomad costs $1,800, whereas Airbuddy is about $200 cheaper and costs just shy of $1,600. For both, you also need to add the shipping costs and potentially import tax based on where you live. Let's review the results in a summary. In a nutshell, Nomad is lighter and slightly smaller, but lacks the performance and safety. It's more expensive and maintenance or repair requires shipping back to factory. Airbuddy is a clear choice to me. The battery lasts longer, it provides more air, and it excels in terms of passive and active safety features. If you want, you can even use it with 2 divers, which is impossible with Nomad. Airbuddy is cheaper, and you don't necessarily have to ship it back to factory for repairs. The only drawback is higher weight and that it doesn't come with a custom bag. There are other things that I didn't know how to demonstrate on the camera, such as the comfort. I already mentioned the vibrations and noise coming out of Nomad's regulator. The other issue that kept annoying me about Nomad was the constant jerking of the hose. Nomad's hose straightens in water and every wave felt like someone was pulling me by neck. This doesn't happen with Airbuddy. There were a few other minor things that I noted down, like the hose quality, but I didn't include them to keep this video short. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below the video and I'll try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. Thank you for watching.